All right, so yeah, basically, I'm just going to be walking through just a very, very simple project. Um, this project here, sharing my screen, and we're going to talk about how it's made in Rhino, how we construct it in Rhino, and then we're going to go to Revit and talk about the similarities, differences, uh, the deliverables, and just any questions you might have about it, but really break down the fundamentals because the truth is, like any program, this is a very complicated program. You can take it as far as you want. I'm by no means an expert, but I want to get you going because I've definitely been in the same position. This is the program all the firms are using and have been using for quite some time. Um, and yeah, I just want to say I've been in your shoes, and actually a year and a half ago, I didn't know Rhino, so coming to UMass and everything, like learning Rhino was, I'm sure you're better at it than I am. So we'll get this through this together. So first off, uh, just some background about me. I worked before going to school. I worked as an architectural designer for 5 years. In 3 of those years, I was doing Revit, and so that's how I've come to know it and everything. Um, and uh, just a few questions with a raise of hands, clapping, whatever. Uh, how many of you are familiar or have experience with Revit, or is this, yeah, how many of you have experience? No experience? Okay. Some. All right. No experience. Easy. So how many of you are kind of looking for an internship or a job? I mean, I'm sure everyone is, but like right now, yeah, okay, cool. So my thought is if this goes well and, people are really learning and taking to this, we can do something like this every other week or something, and, just really get you in good shape for going into an internship and addressing those red lines and, just having a better foundation going into it. Because the truth is, they'll probably teach you a lot of this stuff on the job and everything. But the better foundation you have going in, uh, yeah, the better. Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks, Amanda. So we'll see if we can set that up. And also, I'm going to drop something in the chat. This is something I used actually. There's something called lynda.com. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like a website for tutorials and everything. It costs money, but you get a month for free. And if you get that month for free, you can do these Revit tutorials. The project files are included and everything. And you can basically really get a good grip on it in maybe like a couple of weeks or so. And this is just a really good primer. And you can approach me with any questions or anything that you have. So yeah, I definitely suggest that. And yeah, so since none of y'all have really done Revit, or most, well, I guess Amanda and Jordan, you kind of have. Could you kind of like talk about what you think the difference is between Rhino and Revit is?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. I don't have a ton of experience with Revit, but from what I understand, Rhino is a lot better, kind of like you were mentioning before, for more conceptual ideas. So if you have like a super organic form, it's better to do it in Rhino. But Revit is great for like in practice where they don't, if you're working on a project that's a bit more geometric and you don't have as like many curves or something like that. And it also is great because you can just draw a wall and then it'll end up in plan, section, elevation, axon, and you won't have to go through like in Rhino and make 2D all of your line work and go through all the process of really cleaning it up. So that way you can import it into Illustrator. And I believe you can also plot everything within Rhino, kind of similar to CAD. So it really is like a big time saver in that regard.
Totally. That's exactly. Anyone else? Okay. So yeah, basically, the big difference is Revit being parametric, in that everything is associated with one another. A lot of things are interconnected, and um, it's a lot about the setup initially. You'll have a lot of what you call families. Are you familiar with blocks in Rhino? Like you'll have a door block. Let's say this. Actually, I made this as a block, so it's a door, and I can kind of edit this block and then copy it over as many times as I want, and then make another block out of that for like a double door or whatever, or add objects and everything. Let's see. And then boom, it just makes it all instantaneous. So that's a block. So Revit kind of has a bunch of subsets of those kind of embedded, and they're smart though because they're all parametric and interconnected. And what parametric means is they have parameters associated with them. So you can flex them, you can make them bigger and smaller and everything in between. So what we're going to do right now, we'll get into it a little bit and talk about just this. Like, yeah, it's nothing special, just a house, 4 walls, 3 windows, and a door. So, right, we'll model this out. We'll extrude up whatever, sweep the roof, get all these Boolean forms in, and then do make 2D, right? We'll make 2D and do sections, and then get these, right? So then we have the plan, elevations, and sections, right? So let's say something changes and the client wants this door to be a double door. So then what do? We go over and go to our perspective, whatever, kind of over here, and I'm just gonna just really basic. Oh, that's spacebar, not the Alt button. There we go. Take that. For better or for worse, we have something that resembles a double door right there. Right? And then what do we have to do? We have to go in and make 2D again from, this side view, and then make all these plans over again. This plan changes and that, and just all of them change, right? Versus we could do it in Revit, which literally just click on this door right here and then say, I want to go to a double flush panel, and then boom, double flush panel. You look in the first floor plan, it's updated, elevations, and everything. And even like, even if I cut a section, and cutting sections are super easy, you literally just boop, boop, section. So as you can kind of see, it's pretty quick, but Revit really stands for revise it. actually. And that's what it's all about, like revising things fast and quick. So if you can imagine a project like this, that was like fairly easy. Now imagine something different when you get into the field and you're all in internships and you're working for Billy Tien and Bjarke Ingels and everything. Or maybe not, maybe just a residential architect with this. I'll go into the sample file and pull up a residential sample project. Okay, so now we have this bit bigger. And we'll go into the 3D view and we'll say, okay, well, I want to change this window location and change this door type and everything, change this wall type, change it to a retaining wall, get crazy. And all of that simultaneously in these plans change up, right? For whatever reason. And that saves time and it saves money and it makes things more efficient because as architects and everyone will love to preach perfection, nothing's perfect, especially plans. Plans will always be a little bit off, and this is a tool to make them a little less off when they come out. And when you're running around in the shuffle of general contractors and consultants and getting shop drawings out to engineers and everything, this is really helpful. So yeah, with that, are there any questions so far? Anything I can elaborate on? No? Okay. Well, it's okay because I can talk about it. So the tools in here and this sample project you all can find, and you can download Revit and any Autodesk product if you don't know for free. Student subscription and everything, just look it up at Autodesk and you can download Revit 2020, Autodesk 3ds Max, whatever. And it's because they want to get you hooked, right? They want to get you hooked, and when you get out of college, spend money on the $2,000 license or whatever. But this is what everyone's using. So anyways, basic navigation, things are a little bit different. You're going to orbit a little bit differently. You hold the shift and a little scroll wheel. And there's something called the section box, which is super helpful. This is the section box. So you can check it on and off in what's the properties panel. And basically use the section box to, just cut sections. So literally just see what's going on. And after a while, you'll really start, because you're using Rhino right now, you really design in 3D anyways. A lot of people just kind of started orthographically, but you're already used to that, which is great. So you can use that to your advantage in this for sure. And let's see, for something like like an orthographic drawing and everything. So if we go into like the first floor plan, stuff like that, then there's all of these, everything is hatched out already for you. And, the areas are associated with rooms. And everything's kind of plugged in. So the whole point of that is, since everything's plugged in, if I change this door that I changed before into a pocket door, right? That not only changes, right, in the 3D elements and the plan elements and sectional elements and the elevational elements, right? But it also changes in the data. So if you've seen, a door schedule or whatever, then that's exactly what it takes into account. It takes all of that information and puts it in these schedules too, and changes it accordingly. So let's see, elevations, legends. Let's see, oh, there's schedules, room. Well, maybe we'll go to window schedule. So, right, each window is going to have a type mark associated with it. And let me know if this is a little too far, because I'm not sure how far into construction drawings you've got. Have you had any construction drawing experience, anything like that? A little bit. Okay. 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 And this is another thing that'll come up, in your internship. So basically, for windows, you're going to call out all of your windows. There's going to be a certain window type, and that type's going to have a type mark associated with it, like 11, 10, something like that. And you put it into a schedule, and it'll show the width, height, and everything. So what Revit does is it changes that up instantaneously. So if um, change a window, we'll see if something changes here. I'm not sure. We'll change this window, which has a type mark of 7 right there, into this one, 24 by 48. And now if we go back into the window schedule, what was there before is 24 by 48 where the 7 was. But anyways, just to reiterate the point, whatever you change, everything else changes in this, and it just saves time. So in going back to this, I'll kind of like reconstruct this and show you how I went about it, right? And again, all of this is interconnected. Like I can take this, I can move this wall out, expands the entire thing. I can take this level, since this level is associated with the top of this wall right here, I can be like, okay, I want to make that a 15-foot wall, and I can type that in, and then it brings it up to 15 feet, and on, right? So how I made this, largely, you're going to be working in this architecture panel right up here. And again, the difference between this and Rhino is this is super building specific, right? So yeah, Rhino, we're talking about polylines and extrusions and everything. Here, I mean, we're literally just talking about walls, doors, windows, and floors, So we're just going to start with a wall, and you have different choices of walls you can put up. This is what's kind of preset into Revit with wall families. So those families are anything that that holds information that can be kind of tweaked. So we'll go with a generic 8-inch for now. And then you can associate the wall with the level base. The level height will be 2. And the location line, we'll get into that a little bit later. And then just kind of the form. So I can make, a line, a rectangle. So we'll start with a rectangle, and we'll just make that form. So I made that. And just like that. And if we look at this in, elevations and everything, you can see it's associated to these levels right here. And if we wanted to, we could go up here and we could copy that up. We copy that up and call this roof or whatever. Oops. Call this roof. And then associate, if we wanted to, this in the properties. So basically, just like Rhino, you're always going to be referring to your properties box for independent elements and everything. So if you go here, it's going to show you this wall and show you that it's generic 8-inch and everything. You can change it to whatever you want. We'll keep it generic 8-inch and say the base constraints there. If we wanted to change the base constraint to top footing right there, we can do that. If we want to change the top constraint to the roof, we can do that. And yeah, that's really how walls work. And to kind of dive a little bit more into it, and let me stop for any questions. Is this stuff kind of too much? Am I going too fast? Or there's a lot of big concepts kind of thrown at you. So, okay, walls moving up and down, crazy. So yeah, we can go in a little bit deeper and figure out what is a wall family exactly. Like, how can we change this to a brick on CMU or whatever? And really, that's like a customizable thing. So yeah, really, a family is just something that can be customized. So if we tap further into this and say you click on this, it's called edit type. Oh, and 1 second, this is a really big thing. If you hover over the tools, it'll show you that tool and it'll give a description and how to control it and everything over almost everything that you do. So if I wanted to learn about room separators, it would show me room separator, blah, 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 give me a description, how to do it. So really good to know. So for right here, we're going to click on this wall type and go to edit type. All right. And so this is going to break down the family basically. So just so I don't kind of screw up this type, which type of family, this is brick on CMU. If we go into the structure, then it'll bring up the assembly, and the assembly, if we look at it in plan, maybe it will make a bit more sense. So this assembly is right, brick, air, rigid insulation, CMU, and metal furring, right? All shown here. So that's what it's going to look like in section or a plan, sorry. So what do you mean by family? Is it a group of elements? Yeah, so a family, a wall family is a grouping of these elements that can be dictated where I'm at right now. And you know, in each project, you'll have certain, like double gypsum board assemblies or concrete masonry units or whatever that are modular, well, that repeat themselves, right? So the idea is that you can accomplish wall types by only using a few of these or whatever. And you don't have to go back like you would in Rhino or AutoCAD and kind of, make the polyline and offset, 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 and hatch and all of that. It's all done simultaneously, which is nice. So there's that, and you can basically alter these. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to make whatever kind of a wall assembly. So I'm going to duplicate it so I don't overwrite it and say exterior whatever. And I'm going to click OK, and then we're going to edit the structure. And I don't know, we'll make this material like, and it'll load up a material editor and everything. And we're digging kind of deep into this, so bear with me. But I don't know, we'll make it like something crazy. Jerry, rigid insulation, damp proofing, metal furring, chip, sure. And so then that's our new structure. So then when we click OK, boom, right where our family is where our generic, when we went from generic and then to, CMU and no stud, now there's exterior whatever. And that's there. And now when we go, wherever into the plan, and there's actually a level of detail right here. So right now we're at the most coarse detail. If we click define, it'll show everything. So we'll show all of our layers and whatnot. And basically all of your visual settings are right down here. So if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to go to consistent colors and show basically almost what the rendered texture color would look like. They try to you can set it up. What else? Kind of the sun path. There's a lot of different angles you can get into. Hiding elements and everything. But anyways, so we can click on that and we can look at that. And yeah, there it is. And that's how walls work. And there are other settings that you can go through with edit types. But generally, a lot of it is in that structures. And, you can set the function and everything. There's different, what they call hosted elements that are going to function differently where you put them. But it also has analytical properties, right? That will be taken into account if you do like energy studies and stuff like that, like lighting analysis and, for PV stuff, photovoltaic stuff. And yeah, so again, to reiterate, like everything kind of is interconnected in some way. And even if you don't know what it is further down the line, likely it is. So still doing good on time. I never thought I could talk about a wall for a solid 15-20 minutes. Let's see. Okay, so we have our walls. let's just make it to this, right? So we're going to go into our top constraint, make it back to level 2. We're going to leave this down at the top of footing right here. And I'll talk to you a little about kind of structural elements, right? So that'll show another flavor of Revit. So when you open up a new file, if you open up a new project, you're going to have different templates. And the different templates are going to give you different families, different kind of setups that that you would normally inherit in a given project. So for like, yeah, a mechanical engineer or a structural engineer and everything, it comes preloaded with these. So naturally, we're in architecture. So to get the structural stuff, you have to go in that tab, and then say structural wall foundation, find that. And often it lets you just highlight the walls. And then just like that. So, and another thing, how I did that, another big thing are hotkeys. When you do work in wherever, whether it's in school or yeah, a firm or whatever, you kind of want to strive for like two-handed a two-handed workflow, which you always want one hand on your keyboard and another hand on your mouse. Which I know it sounds ridiculous, but the whole point is like you're pressing hotkeys, and this really speeds up your workflow. Like honestly, with this right here, like using hotkeys, I can construct that like this. Just throw that there, door there, window here, whoop, window there, there, and just like that, you know. It's very quick and easy, and you'll get there. I'll post the hotkeys actually if you're interested right after. And also, again, just hovering on these. Oh wow, maybe not something as specific as the structural foundation slab, but maybe if you go to door, then you'll see right by door is DR. So if I wanted to pop in a door, I just type in DR, boom, door. So yeah, just quick things to know for future reference. But anyways, so I guess that's what I'm going to put in next is a door. So we'll go in there, and oh, actually I skipped ahead. We'll put in that footing and everything, right? And another thing, and I don't expect you. I feel bad because you're not doing this with me specifically, but when you do pick up Revit and everything, how you select objects is you highlight them. Yeah, you see the blue highlight. And then you can highlight the entire thing by pressing the tab key. So pressing the tab key, you can cycle through everything. And in another case, like, you know, if you wanted to highlight this window and you know you can't highlight it because it just keeps on highlighting the wall, then you press tab multiple times until you hit that. So that's how you cycle through things, the tab. So basically, that's how I selected everything, and then I clicked, and it just did that. And if I wanted to switch up this, then I could do that just by going down, clicking on the families on the property selector, and everything and change it. If I wanted to change the thickness of it, I could just click on edit type and be like, all right, well, I want that toe length to be like 1'6" and heel to be 3 feet. And apply. And there it is. And then I can go through and change these individually. And also, to select multiple things, you hold control. You hold control to select multiple things. And then just be like, yep, make it that. So, let's see. So I'm going to put the door in. Again, the door just works exactly the same. Whatever. But this we'll do something differently with the door. So there aren't a whole lot of family types loaded in here. So what you can do is load more, right? So you do that by going to insert and going to load family from library. And then this will bring up a whole library of whatever. I mean, there's doors, but there's a whole system of objects. And this is where you're pulling from. This is where all the flavors are pulling from when loading up a new project. So we'll go to doors and residential, and I don't know, we'll do something like double full glass wood. Cool. And then it'll bring up what specific type do you want. So types, if you think of a family, the type's a subset of that family that can be different sizes and everything as controlled by the parameters. So it's controllable within here, just like if we were to do what we just did a little bit ago and go in there and make an edit type and be like, okay, I want this width to be 7 foot, then that would control the type. And we wouldn't put 7 foot in there because that would overwrite this 72-inch 84. We'd duplicate it and then, oh geez, yeah, 84 7 foot by 7 foot door. So now that's duplicated. We're good there. We change that width to 7 foot and then click OK. And now we have that type, right? And that's always loaded in there. And we can switch back and forth between these two sizes. So that's a type. Yeah. So just checking in. Any questions in terms of types or families or anything? Good. Y'all are doing good. So there's that. And Windows, this is where it will get somewhat repetitive. Windows will do the same thing. You have different ones, right? And then we'll go to roofs. So roofs will be a little different. And it'll literally ask you to select, just like just like this footing down here, just select a path to go on. You can construct a roof that way. We could say yes to that. And actually, I associated that wrong. So we say the base level of that roof will be roof, right? Actually, no, we want the base level to be the level 2 and click OK. Okay. And so say I want to edit that, I'll just double click on it and then do a tool you'll actually use often. It's called the align tool. So yeah, the align tool just does exactly what it sounds like. It aligns certain objects. So you can align the surfaces right here. So we'll do that. We'll align this and that. Align that. Okay. Okay. So now we have a hip roof. Say we don't want that hip or whatever, or the pyramid, then there are these sloping icons here that say it's defining a slope. So to make a gable, we can take out those slopes. It says define slope right there. And now only these two sides are sloping, right? So that will make this gable. And this is going a little farther, but you can actually attach these walls to the base of this to kind of bridge that gap. So we'll say attach to this. And that'll follow it along. And if, you know, if there's, again, one thing I'd like for you to get out of this is everything can be interconnected here. So now when we move this wall and everything, and we don't have to type move or anything, we can just click it and drag it, then the roof moves with it, right? Yeah, and that's basically what I had for this part. I could keep going and get a bit more into it if you want. If you've had enough, just tap out. It's all good. But whatever y'all want. Any questions or anything in like further detail, like how you would say you had a project with Revit in one of your studios or whatever, like how to tackle certain things of that project and all, like any question. Yeah, Amanda.
Is it easy to figure out like the area of um the structure you made? Because I feel like sometimes with Rhino, once I like add in my doors and stuff like that, it's hard for me to get the exact area after that point.
Good question. So yeah, we'll go to we're here. We'll go to the sample project and go to that first floor plan and that. And look at this. So, you know, we have all of our annotations, bedroom, kitchen, whatever, and all of those are actually associated to areas. So when we click area, that's the area right there. So you can go, oops, yeah, you can go, is it architecture? Yeah, you can go to architecture and create a room tag, and that'll designate an area. So here, I'll do that over again for this. So we're gonna, the room tag was deleted with the corresponding. And whenever you do something, if you get that beep sound and a warning comes up, then just try to read through the warnings. A lot of people kind of like reflexively dismiss it, but yeah, that's definitely good to keep in mind. So in this case, the room tag was deleted, but the corresponding room still exists. What that means, this right here still exists, which can be deleted, and then we can make a new room. So and now it still remains in the project, which means it's in the room schedule and everything. So the data and everything is still in there, if that makes any sense. But the issue with Revit a lot of the time is it can be too smart for its own good. And the interconnectivity is so much that you're kind of, with Rhino, you're trying to figure out what else you can show, like what should be shown. And with Revit, it's often what shouldn't be shown because it can show everything, you know. And sometimes you don't want that, like, you know, soffit detail to be shown in your elevation or whatever, you know. But anyways, so getting back to your question, Amanda, you click on room and then just click on the room, and then it associates it, and then you type in bedroom, and that's that. And there's that area tag that's highlighting behind it, and you can click on that and it'll show you the area, everything, and you can go through each one and look at that. But also, and this is what you'll soon learn, there are schedules. So you can go to the room schedule, and we'll go down to the room schedule, and all of those room areas and everything. Oh, and there's the one that I was talking about that is still there. All of those are here. So here are all of your square footages for all those rooms, right? So, and again, that comes to show like just the interconnectivity with it all. Yeah, good question. Any other ones or? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. I was gonna say that I've heard from a lot of people that Revit is less good, like it's not as good for like organic forms as Rhino is. And I know that we were talking like kind of before the meeting started of importing line work from Rhino into Revit to then extrude and use that way. Is that kind of an example of when that would be a really good idea, is if you have these more organic forms that Rhino is better suited for, and then moving them into Revit to kind of make your drafting elements? And could you like iterate and like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In all honesty, I haven't really had that workflow, but what I would imagine is, yeah, you would make that 3D geometry in Rhino and everything, and kind of make that line work in Rhino. I'm not sure if there's a way to make a mass in Revit and kind of import that 3D geometry to that. Yeah, that's a really great question. I wish I had a clear answer for you. But yeah, no, it's for sure not its forte to be doing like organic sculptural forms like on the regular, like at least at a basic level and everything, not so much. And you'll get there. I mean, there are more advanced techniques and everything that honestly you're probably, having used Rhino, pick up on more than others, because if you get into like, for example, let's see, it's been a while since I've done this, so bear with me. So we'll go to conceptual mass, which looks a lot like a little bit like the Rhino. And amazingly, Rhino is something that Revit or Autodesk doesn't own, so they can't grab that one. So if I can remember right, we can basically generate forms by making shapes, and associating them to planes. So what I said beforehand about Revit being all about setup and everything is just that in everything. So if we want to associate these planes on separate levels, then we'll go to this elevation right here and take elevation 1 and just make more levels. So we have our level, we're going to offset this like, and this is like super advanced stuff. So I'm glad you're asking. Super advanced, only I know it. No, I don't. But good to know. Okay. See ya. Thanks. So we're gonna take these and get the level. I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of levels. Offset 10 feet. There. Okay, so we'll make those levels, and then we'll go back. And to get back to 3D view, this is the 3D view thing. It's a little house, and you can also like Control Tab to cycle through all of these. Just good stuff to know. So all right, what are we gonna do now? We're gonna make a square. I don't know, make a bunch of squares, but associate it to different levels. I put it on the wrong work plane. Model set. Is that it? Yeah. Awesome. All right. So we're gonna say that, and then set to this level. Make. All right. This is gonna be an awesome form. This level. Oh shoot. All right, I'll do one more. Set there. All right, let's scroll and see if we got it. Yes, we got it. All right, now we're gonna create the form. And boom. All right, we're gonna make that so a lot like, I'm gonna just save the moment here. A lot like Rhino with Boolean forms. In Revit, you have solid and voids when it comes to massing and everything. So yeah, you have your solids, and the void cuts the solids, and it's that positive, negative feedback, right? So we're going to create the solid form here and come up with some crazy ass paraboloid thing. And from there, we can actually import into a project. So that, Faye, is one way to do it. And once we load into, say, Revit tutorial, We have like the most basic house and the most crazy shape imaginable. So all right, so we have this mass, and then it'll start to let you assign, say, floors to it. And it's going to associate those floors to those levels, right? So click OK, and then we'll make those floors. And also, I think we can assign walls to it. Massing site, place massing. Ah, there we go. Walls. Yeah. Take that, pen. So yeah, that's really how you would go about a more sculptural form and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe it's not so difficult. It might be just that dinosaurs who've used CAD get into Revit and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do anything, and don't learn it, which happens. And by all means, when I'm 50, 60, I'll probably be that way too. So, yeah. Any other questions? What's up,
One
Amanda?
more. For say like the windows, like I saw you when you were just showing us how to simply put them in, like just kind of popping them in the walls and stuff. Is there a way where you can align all the windows to make sure they're at the same level, if that makes sense? Like not making sure, making sure if like, oh man, the screen's weird. The windows are like this to be able to actually make them align with each other.
Totally.
That makes
So
sense.
no, that's such a good question, because yeah, it's all about it's all about precision and keeping these lines and everything, right? So all right, thanks, Emma. Have a good one. So let's pop some more windows in here, and make them all over the place. And again, we'll say we want the windowsill to be like 2'6", which is common. Yeah. So we can go in again to the properties panel and associate that to 2'6" from this first level. It changes it, that's where we want it. So instead of going through, and we could go through and just select all these and say, okay, we want all of these to be 2'6". Instead of doing that, we could also hit the align tool, which is not there. Where is it? Is it the manage tab? Modify. Hit the align tool. And this is where the tab key again will come in handy. So you can cycle through this, and we want to cycle and hit that lower plane right there, right? So we're going to click that, and it's going to associate it. And like Rhino too, you type in a command, and then it gives you a prompt of what to do next and everything. That's going to show up right down here. So please select an entity to align. So we've done that. Now we're going to align that with this. Do it with this. Well, do the same thing. Align. Now, what you're seeing right here as well is the lock, right? So and this is kind of the basis of making things parametric. So when you align something and the lock goes there, you can just click that, and that immediately associates it with this right here. So if I move this, this goes with it. And the same thing with all these, right? So if I aligned and locked all these, then yeah, it would move it. And where it gets wild is that's with everything. If I lock in the levels at a certain distance and everything, move them up and down, then that gets into it. So I'm trying to think of a simple family that I can go into. So on top of these families right here, I can click into it. So you have the type and you have the family in and of itself. So if you think of a block and editing the block and everything, that's kind of what we're in right now, right here. And instead of line work and all of that, it's going to have a bunch of parameters associated to that line work. So what that means is we'll go into the floor plan and, nothing fancy. We'll just see a door swing, what you normally see. All right. Thanks, Anastasia. And we can pop into that and see that these dimensions are locked in place to this. And those dimensions tie into the types that we were going over before. So we're in something called the family editor now. So like a project file for Revit would be an RVT, and this is an RFA file family. So we can go up to family types and look at these parameters and kind of flex them out. So if we look at this trim projection, then we can find that in here. Okay, so trim projection interior. So say we wanted to make that 2 inches, then we make that 2 inches in here and see if it works, apply it. And this is what people do to kind of go through and flex and test out these parameters to see if it works. Frankly, people have jobs and where they only make families and stuff because they are smart objects that you can go to websites like ARCAT or Revit City or whatever, and they're literally smart objects that people have made and you can import. Yeah, so just to get super in depth and to know what you're working with when you work with these families and why these parameters are here, that's why they're dimensions like these associated with labels that tie in to these family types right here. And that's how you can flex them in the project. So, and that's how you can go to that door that we were just in and be like, okay, I want a 84 by 84 door. It flexes those in that family and you're left with this as a result. I've never talked so much for so long, even, wow. Yeah. Anything else? Anything?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jake. This has been really awesome. I just have two kind of really quick questions. So I know you were mentioning that a lot of the organic firms have to be done in that like conceptual setting, but I was wondering, does the normal workspace for Revit, does it have the capabilities to draw curves, like curved walls?
Yeah, so you could, well, in plan in terms of, so do this, just, yeah, draw circle wall, whatever, splines, all the commands are there. I forget, I honestly think it's trickier to kind of push a wall. Like, you know, if I want to just grab these vertexes right here and like move it over, but you can't do that in Revit. It's different. And that's the biggest difference, honestly. So what I use often for rendering and everything, I got into rendering a little bit ago. I use something called 3ds Max, which is highly like Rhino in terms of like 3D. It's a 3D program. That's really what it is. And yeah, unfortunately, not so easy in Revit. Though that could probably, maybe that could be done. I need to look into that. Yeah. Yeah. And what was your next?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was also wondering, are there any other plugins for rendering besides 3ds Max? Like, is it compatible with Lumion and like Enscape?
I don't know about Enscape. I think Lumion's pretty compatible with everything. I want to say, I don't know, maybe you all can correct me. But V-Ray is one of the big ones, right? A lot of the grad schools or whatever are going to be using those. Yeah, it works with V-Ray. They have a plugin for it. But then that whole learning V-Ray is like a whole separate entity in and of itself. But it does have its own rendering capability within Revit. So that all happens within family types and everything. So if we tap into the structure and, you know, make this material, say brick, common, then a lot like Rhino, it'll generate, you know, this whole material panel, and you can cycle through, you know, the actual surface pattern going, and then the appearance, and then the rendering information and everything. So when you render it in Revit, it comes out something like that. And you can cycle through that just like you do here. So I should probably talk a little bit more about the view settings. So yeah, you have the detail level, which we kind of discussed, but yeah, really medium's good to have that on. Medium. And then the sun path you can turn on once you put in sun settings. You can control the sun settings, and that does come into play. Shadows, rendering. But to go back to here, so you turn it on to wireframe, hidden, consistent, I use a lot. And then realistic. And then ray trace, right? Which is basically rendering in real time, which is nice if you're doing like mock-ups or whatever. We'll see how well my computer handles it. It handles it okay. But yeah, so the kind of mock-up textures you might get, not terrible. But yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, this has been fantastic. I know I learned so much from this. So thank you,
Good.
Jake. We really appreciate it. And I know I would definitely love to have more of these sessions. So thank you again for offering that. And thanks so much for doing this tutorial.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, anytime.
This helped me so much, Jake. Thank you. Like even just having a little bit of an introduction.
Oh yeah, it's a long process for sure. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, what's up, Faye?
I was just gonna say that like if you have any links, like I know you put a link to a course in the chat, but like, if you have any additional helpful links that you want to send to Harriet generally does our emails, so probably sending them to her, and then we can send out like all of the links kind of in the same place so that people have them. I think that would be really, really helpful because I definitely want to take that course over the summer.
Oh yeah, super helpful. Yeah, for sure. I'll get a link list and especially like hotkeys and yeah, any little things that you can learn and everything. Yeah, good idea. We'll do that. Thanks.
Of us creating a database of all my audio here.
All right, you're all
Oh no.
wonky again.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to head out, but I wanted to say thank you very much. This was super helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Have a good one, Amanda. Thanks.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks, Faye. Thanks for
Thank you.
everyone. All right. Take care.